Hi and welcome to another YouTube video. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the Blooming Rooms kit that just released, as you probably know or have heard about, and this of the many kits that rained upon us in the end of this year. This one is the first build kit that we got, which has me very excited. And also on top of that, it's focused around plants, and I love plants for decorating and building in The Sims, so this really is a very useful kit. And yeah, I'm very happy about it, even though I have lots of opinions about these single items, but also about the kit as a whole. I have lots of opinions. So yeah, now we have an entire speed build to talk about it, but also while I was building this house that I'm building right now, that you see me building, I also got this very clear story in my head of the Sims that are living here and what they're going through and what their connection is. So yeah, I also absolutely fell in love with the story that formed in my head during this build, and now I actually want to do some gameplay and actually play out that story in this house. But yeah, definitely very excited and have so much to share with you. But first off, how I got the inspiration for this build. So what I did was I took out all of the items that we got with the new kit and I laid them all out next to each other, and then I flipped through the swatches and I absolutely fell in love with this kind of orangey pinkish swatch that we got. I think peach. I think the color that I'm talking about is peach colored. So like a little bit of orange, a little bit of pink, I think makes peach. And so I absolutely love that peach swatch that so many of these objects had. So I decided to go for that swatch for all of the items while laying them out. And when there were items that didn't have that swatch, I chose the white swatch. And with that, I got to lay out all of the objects and they looked so cute next to each other. And when I saw them in those colors, even though when I had them in more of the black swatches or black and white swatches, it looked very modern. In this color combination with the peach and the white, it looked so incredibly cute, and I immediately got that idea of a very cute college girl apartment. So maybe someone who is in college and really loves plants, of course, because this is the Blooming Room kit, or the plant kit, to call it more easily. Yeah, so maybe a college student that loves plants and that has a little bit of a knack for interior design was my inspiration. And with that inspiration, I went over to Pinterest and looked at rooms and apartments in exactly that style that I envisioned, which was very inspiring. Duh, that was the whole reason for doing it. But yeah, it was a bunch of fun looking at those rooms, and with all of that inspiration in mind, I started building. However, I decided for the people that really want to try out this build kit, but they don't really have a lot of packs, I decided to make my first build with this kit with using only the Basegame and the Blooming Rooms kits. And so I quickly learned that a lot of the inspiration pictures that I saw had items that looked like exactly like items that I had in my head. I was like, oh my god, yes, I want to use them. And then I remembered, oh no, I just have the Blooming Rooms kit and the Basegame, but I still stayed strong and I didn't use any additional packs, just these two, and I tried to emulate the other items as best as I could, and I think I was actually quite successful. Like, I absolutely loved the interior of this build in the end, and yeah, so I'm very excited to show you. But even though I absolutely love this house and I definitely want to do some gameplay within it, I still don't think that this house has the most like wow factor or is the most beautiful Sims build in existence, just because of the pack restrictions and so far and so on, and also because I don't think I would be capable of building the most beautiful Sims build in existence when you see like what incredible build is out there. But yeah, what I initially wanted to say is, like, even though I love this build, I still think there is more that can be done with the Blooming Rooms kit. So this one, I really wanted limited packs. This is focused on gameplay. This is also very heavily play tested. I used every single object in this house and know that it works. But I still want to make another build that is maybe a little bit bigger and that uses like all of the packs and resources that I have at my disposal, but is also going to be focused around the Blooming Rooms kit. I'm kind of thinking maybe I'm going to make a modern mansion for a change, which I'm not doing that often, but I think like building a very chic modern mansion could really be a vibe with these new items. So yeah, I think I'm going to go a little wild and yeah, that's going to be my next video. So immediately after I'm done editing and publishing this one, I'm probably going to play a little bit of Animal Crossing, but after that I'm immediately going to build like something big and grand, and hopefully with a little bit of wow factor with this kit. And yeah, then after that is done, I'm going to build the tower from Tangled and the build for Taskbus Shell Challenge that I already teased in the last video when I kind of forgot that the Blooming Rooms kit was coming out. And a moment ago when the kitchen was finished, you saw me play around a little bit with either a lesbian flag or a trans flag in the kitchen as a wall decoration, and that is because of the story of this build, even though I ultimately decided against it and put first like a picture and then also later a window at that space, because I just thought that the build needed more windows, because I put the walls so full of images and wall decorations that there really wasn't that much space for windows. So I later used it as a place for windows, but in one of the bedrooms later there is going to be the return of the lesbian flag at least. But yeah, let me tell you a little bit about the story of the Sims that live in this build, and then later we'll definitely going to get to my opinion about this kid. And then we're going to finally get to my opinion about this kid immediately after I'm done telling you the story. So I'm so excited to tell this. This is so cute in my head. So this build is like a very, very fancy university dorm, basically, just like for 2 people. I don't really know how that financially works, but that's just how it is in my head. But yeah, the story goes that there is one Sim living here who has been living here for a little bit longer, like a longer amount of time. Maybe this house belongs to her parents. That would make a whole lot of sense. But yeah, basically she's been living here for her time in university. She is has 3 semesters behind her and is currently in her 4th semester. And previously she had that roommate who lived in the bedroom next to her, who was like some guy who was very kind and accepting, but they didn't have that much in common. And I called that Sim that has been living here for a long time Kira, and Kira is like loves plants and is also a lesbian and is very like driven by her ambitions in uni and so on. And so then the room next to her is empty and she lives alone in the house, and she knows that she's going to get a new roommate, but she doesn't really have the say about who the new roommate is that's going to move in. And so she's definitely nervous about the new roommate. How are they going to be? Like, what kind of person are they going to be? Will they be accepting of her? Will she still be like feel comfortable just being herself in her home and her house? And so yeah, she's definitely very nervous. But on moving day, it's already so apparent that coincidence was kind to her when the new roommate walks in with hundreds of plants. So she already knows, okay, there is a like common interest there, and her new roommate seems just so lovely, and next to her bags and all of that she has all of her plants. And then the 2 of them start to get to know each other a little bit, and her new roommate is called Ellie, and Ellie is lovely. The 2 get on like a house on fire, and yeah, really like basically become best friends super fast. And so after a little while, Ellie trusts Kira enough to kind of tell her that she's a trans woman and she's also bisexual, and yeah, that like basically both can support each other and can connect over some shared experiences, and it's like super cute. And so they live in the rooms next to each other, and both of them find the other one like super cool and attractive and really like the other person, but both of them don't know how the other person thinks about them. And I think that's just like such a cute setup for some gameplay where there is this cute like positive tension between the 2 of them. And it's like, will they get together? When will they like find the courage to tell the other one? And I thought that was such a cute setup, and I could really imagine them living in a house like this and being very happy in a space that is decorated like this. So it made me very happy to think of that like whole story. But now with that cute story out of the way, now it's time for like some serious kid discussion. So yeah, my opinion about this kid. First of all, as a whole, I really like the build items, and I think there are a couple of them that I'm going to use a lot. So as someone that is mostly building in The Sims and also making videos about the builds and stuff, I definitely am going to get some value out of this pack, and I'm very happy that I own it. However, the difference that I see from this kid to other kids that we had previously is that this kid really includes purely decorative items. So if we, for example, compare it to the Courtyard Oasis kit, that one had like doors that your Sims could walk through, or say like some chairs that your Sims can sit on and stuff, or the Country Kitchen kit that had a whole kitchen that your Sims could interact with, like a stove and also a fridge and all of that stuff. Whereas with this one, there's not a single item in there that your Sims can interact with in some form other than looking at it. It's purely decorative and it basically serves zero gameplay purpose. So if you are someone who like preferably does gameplay and just wants to live in some pretty builds, I don't really know if it's worth it. And I was kind of disappointed because there is one item there that seems like being a working desk where you can, for example, make some flower bouquets and stuff, and we have items like that in the game, which are like some tables that you can put outside, and then you can do like some gardening, flower arranging stuff on them. This is a table that looks like those tables, just it doesn't serve any purpose. It's just there to be there, and I don't really know how I feel about it. I think I feel about it more negatively than positively, if I'm honest. It is a very, very pretty item, I'm not going to lie, but it could have served a purpose, and I would have preferred that. But yeah, even though there is not a single functional item in there, I think I'm still going to use those items a lot while building, and I'm going, like, in that way, I'm going to get some joy out of this pack, so I'm still happy that I have it. Let's talk about some of the items in a little bit more detail. So I already started talking about this item that has the little, like, boots down there and some flower arranging garden kind of stuff. And I think it's a very, very pretty item, but one thing that I noticed with this item was that the shadows are glitched. So I don't know if at some point during this building process, but if not during this building process, then definitely in the tour, the cinematic tour that I'm going to do in the end, you're going to see the shadows. And the shadows are glitched. They look very, very weird. The shadows don't really follow the shape of the items hanging on there, and it's very blocky. It's basically like a rectangle around the back of this item is a shadow with some weird looking holes in it, and I don't know if maybe the item previously had a different shape and then they completely changed the item but they forgot to change the shadows. I don't know what happened there, but it's very weird, and after that I noticed the shading being weird like that on a lot of the other items. I don't know if it's every single one, but a lot of the new items have very weird shadows, which is not optimal. But I think the items, like, even though the shadows are glitched, I don't think that's game breaking. It's of course like for a pack that you pay for to have an issue like that, even though you can get CC for free, that doesn't have problems like this, is I think a little bit unprofessional from EA or Maxis or like the team. It's not the team, probably they had some time constraints and couldn't look over it, and it's also like human to make to make mistakes, but still, like, to pay for it like $5 for like a few items and then those items being glitched is, I think, a little bit sketchy, but still, like, I still really like the items and the way that they look. So now let me talk about my favorite items from this pack, like a little positive note. So one item that I really like is this tree that kind of has the round bowl with the in my case, like the way that I used it, wide stilts, and also like down there, like this round base, and the tree itself has these super cute, like very round leaves. I don't know how to explain it, but I absolutely love this plant. I'm going to show an image of the plant that I'm talking about. I think that's the easiest way so that you know which items I'm referring to. And I think it's so cute, and I absolutely love it, and I already see myself using it so much. The second item that I'm going to use so much is the hanging plant. The hanging plant comes in incredible swatches. I used it alone like 3 times in this one build. I used the hanging plants because it just fits in so many spaces, and I've really been waiting for a plant like this. Of course, before we had the paranormal hanging plant that is kind of similar. So it's like this hanging plant and then the ivy kind of hangs down from one side. And so I used that a bunch beforehand. But in my opinion, there never were enough leaves. Like, I always wanted more leaves to kind of frame some areas or just like have more green in an area. So I'm so excited because it's basically like they took the image of what I wanted the paranormal stuff plant to be and put it into the game. So this plant has me so excited and happy, and I love all of the swatches because they are so different and I can see so many different uses for the different swatches. I'm just so happy. The third one is the plant curtain. I've heard a lot of people refer to it as a plant curtain, and in this build I used it above the 2 doors leading to the 2 different bedrooms, which I think was a very cute use for it on the inside. But I can see so many more uses for it on the outside, like to decorate some in like some medieval builds. So I mostly build cottages, like cutesy cottages and medieval fantasy builds, which is where I feel the most comfortable while building. And a lot of these items are not very useful for that style. They are a little bit too modern for that. But this flower curtain is going to be so beautiful for fantasy builds. I'm going to use them so much to kind of hang over windows on the outside. I'm probably also going to use it in like the Rapunzel tower somewhere. And I just am already so in love with this item and all of the different possibilities. And also, even though you don't use it like plain on the outside wall, I think it's still going to be amazing to, for example, decorate some sort of pergola or terrace that you might have on the outside, or a courtyard, or like a walkway somewhere. It's just, oh my god, there are so many possibilities, and this item has me really inspired. And 2 more items that I'm very excited about are the room divider. So you have this massive item that is basically 3 tiles and 3 tiles of a nice groundwork, and then lots and lots of hanging plants hanging within the object, and it's so beautiful. I think the like structures within there, like the leaves are so small but yet so detailed in the hanging plants that hang inside of this object. It's like more detailed than any hanging plant that we have as a separate object, if I'm completely honest, even though I'm super happy with the hanging plant that we got. Like, I absolutely love the quality of this object, and I can see myself using it so much as a room divider for a room that serves multiple purposes, like the living room and the dining room separation that I did in this build. And yeah, or like to put it underneath stairs. I can see so many uses for this, and I'm so excited. Even as a wall for a terrace on the exterior is it's just, I'm so excited about this item. And then the last item that I want to talk about that I really love is the, it's basically, I think, a nightstand, but it has these 3 different steps. And oh my god, I think this could be the item from this pack that I'm going to use the most, at least when it comes to suburban and modern and more usable builds. Of course, not in medieval fantasy builds, because that's not the style of this item, but oh my god, it's so cute and so perfect for so many different build styles on The Sims. And also, I love how 3 different items find their designated space on there. Like, you can have a nightstand, but you can have a lamp and a clock and a plant, and they are separated and find their separate spaces, and it's just brilliant, and I love it. And the last point that I want to make is an item that I didn't like, even though I like some parts of it, and that is this item. This item has this big, massive, in this case, a white base. And I think this white base is incredible. It has like this kind of swirling path of plants going around it, and it has I don't know, like this green bowl hanging from the side of it, and it's just so beautiful as basically like a statue. And then on top of it is a tree-like thing plant, and this tree-like plant in itself is beautiful. Like, if this were in like a very simple like ceramic pot, pods, I would love this and I would use it so much. But it doesn't make sense on top of that sculpture. Like, that sculpture looks like very grand, and I can see it like in the middle of a room in like an entrance to, for example, a spa or something. But then there's the tree on top, and it loses that cheekness that the base has, and it just looks like spittery and kind of like almost a tree. Whereas the tree I could use perfectly in like a suburban family home, and it would be very cutesy in some corner, but then it doesn't fit into the corner because of that massive base, and I'm like, what am I supposed to do with it? The way that I'm going to use it most probably is that like I'm going to put it down into the ground so that you don't see the beautiful base that it has, and I'm going to use separate pots that I'm going to size down and put at the base of it, and then that way it's going to look pretty cute. But it would have been like, it could have been so amazing if they would have just separated it into 2 items. And then there are also some other items where I think if they would have adjusted the size a little bit, like some of them look a lot better if I just like size it down one time or size it up one time, where I think like this should have been how big it normally is, and it would have been, I guess, pretty easy to adjust the size of it. So I don't understand why they make it so big or so small when it's obviously meant to be bigger or smaller when you look at it in bigger or smaller, because it just looks more right, at least to me. I don't know if other people see that differently, but yeah, it's interesting. Like, some of those items have a lot of potential but could have been better, but in general I think the items themselves are beautiful. I love them, and I think I'm going to use them a bunch, and I already have so many ideas for the next build that I'm going to do with the Blooming Rooms kit. But for now, I've talked enough, I would say. I want to thank you so much for listening to me ramble about this kit. I'm so interested to hear your opinions about the kits and the different items within it, your ideas of how to build with it, and also your opinions about this build that I did and about the story, because I'm always interested in what you think about my build. So thank you so much for watching. I wish you the most wonderful rest of your day. If you would consider subscribing, you would make me so happy. I hope we'll see each other again. Oh, and as you can see, I left in a little bit of the footage from the playtesting because I pushed around a few of the objects, or like shaped them differently, just so that you know that if in the version of this on the gallery, my gallery ID is SunnyCreations, by the way, there are some things a little bit different than in the speed build. It's because of the playtesting process. So yeah, I hope that you're going to enjoy maybe even playing in this build. I'm out. Bye.